Howdy folks, welcome back to another part of the Turbo 350 rebuild here. This is going to be a little bit different video here. I went ahead and made this a little easier on myself. I took this transmission and put it on the stand here I got. So now we can rotate it all the way around, whatever direction I want to rotate it, and it'll make it a lot easier. So I just took some bolts and put 3/8 threads through these holes here, and we got 4 of them on here. We got everything all tightened up real good so it won't move or slide or nothing, because I got all the, if you watched the previous video, I already had the pump and everything installed in here, so we're done with this area down here. All that's complete. Now we're getting ready to work on is start installing our valve body and our shift linkage, and get our tail shaft back on and our governor and all that good stuff. I want to take a minute or two, talk about this thing a little bit, some of the stuff I've been kind of dealing with on it, and made a little list up just to kind of help y'all a little bit further along, because it ain't gonna be too much longer. I'm gonna have this transmission about done. But there's some stuff I wrote down here that I had a little bit of trouble with. And some of the difficult challenges on this transmission here that I thought to me I had a little bit of trouble with was there's a snap ring on the output shaft, and I had a little bit of trouble with that. And I went out, and you really need to get some snap ring pliers like I got here to get that, because it's really hard to get that out on that output shaft. It's a real pain sometimes to get that little snap ring out. It's real tiny, about the size of a 50-cent piece. And I actually got a whole pack of them snap ring pliers. But here's a little bit of different set. Let me show y'all. Alright, this is a different set I got here. It's got the 90-degree ends on it. The other one's a straight end, just like this one. But anyway, really helps to have snap ring pliers, so that's why I bought a set. The next thing is the low reverse piston. The lip seals were a little bit hard to, they made it a little bit hard to seat. And for that low and reverse piston there, had a little bit of trouble getting that in there. And I got all that situated now, but a little bit of trouble with that. And the direct and intermediate clutch pack assembly, I just want to say a little something about that real quick. My idea of taking C-clamps, these C-clamps right here and getting about 3 of them, putting around the clutch packs and tighten them down to get the snap ring back on. That'll work as far as taking everything apart, but when you're going to put it back together, it's a little bit more challenging. So I would take and do it the other way I was originally going to do it. I would get the long vice grips where they reach around. They look kind of like this. Go down, around, and like the end of it be right here, and then it's another end that comes up and squeezes like it, and then it's got the 2 ends there where you can squeeze it down. They're the big ones. That's the kind I should have got. I know it's not the best drawing, but y'all probably know what I'm talking about. It's the real big ones. It's got the real big arms on them. I would get those instead of these C-clamps right there, because they'll work fine taking it apart, but getting it back together is a little bit harder. It's not as easy, because you got 2 clutch packs. Well, 3 technically. You got one for the low and reverse, then you got one for the intermediate, and then you got one for the direct. And that's a little bit challenging to get those back together. Taking it apart's fine, but getting it, trying to compress that spring to get that snap ring back on is a little bit more difficult. And lower and reverse, that's kind of the same thing. Had a little bit of trouble with that, getting that snap ring on there. But I would go out and get this tool like I got, because that makes life so much easier. And you pretty much have to have this. There's really no way around it unless you made your own tool. But you need to get this, because this one's only 40 bucks on eBay. And don't spend a lot of money on that. It's only like $40. Don't buy the $100 one. You really don't need it. You can get this one online for like 40 bucks and it'll work just fine. This is supposed to work in a Turbo 350, a Turbo 400, I believe, and a 700 R4. But I know on the list it said for a Turbo 350 and a 700 R4 this will work in. But it won't work in a Power Glide. That I do know. So you really need to get that tool. And another big thing is you want to be careful. You don't want to have any cross threads. That's a big thing too. In the previous video, you want to make sure that this pump's lined up just right, because if you don't, then don't ever tighten stuff down and it not feel right. Because I was going through tightening that pump down right there, and all of them except for one of them wasn't threaded in right. It felt like if you turn it, it wasn't threaded in right. So I took them all back out, rotate the pump just slightly, and then put them back in. Start the first one that was give me a little bit of trouble first, and got all of them back in. So that worked out real good on that. But don't ever tighten nothing down. If it don't feel like it's going in right, don't keep tightening it, because this is an aluminum case here, and you don't want to mess that up. Because you cross thread anything on here, makes it really hard. So if it don't feel right, just stop right then and there and back up. And I already mentioned this here. The line the pump was a little bit of a challenge. I ended up just taking 2 bolts here when I had it out, and got 2 nuts and put them in there and tightened them up to get this pump to where it was even. And got that in there right, and then torqued the there's a piston on the back of this pump here, torqued them back down to spec. But that was a little bit challenging trying to line that back up. And I'm sorry if this video is kind of dragging on here. I just wanted to go over this stuff real quick. Anybody new watching this video here, I hope this helps y'all a little bit. This is just some stuff I run into, had a little bit of trouble with, but everything worked out. It's almost done, just about. One thing I did learn about these pumps down here is not all these pumps are the same. They're similar, but the difference is there was a comment in one of the older videos, if you had to go back, that was left at the bottom there, and was asking about a pivot valve and a spring. I think it was a YouTube watcher there that was asking about that. And what I learned from that, I was looking online. Some of these pumps have them and some of them don't. Mine happens to have it. This transmission right here, I actually decoded. This is actually for a 80 model. So this came out in a car, and for the 80 model year. And one way it tells, I decoded it down there, and I, which is the 9th letter of the alphabet, is September. So that would be September of 79. So that would be for the 80 model year. That's one thing I did learn about this transmission. And some of these pumps, like I was saying, some of these pumps, they're mostly the same, but some of them have that valve and that spring, and some of them don't. Might happen to have it. So you want to watch out for that. If you don't quite know what I'm talking about, go back in my previous video where I had this pump out here and had it apart. It's a little tiny valve. It's about this long, and it's a little tiny spring that's behind it. And some of them have it, some of them don't. And it's not much information online about it. It's really not. It kind of looks, I'll draw a little picture of it here, but it kind of looks like this. Not like that, and it's got a little end on it. Kind of looks like that. That goes inside the pump there, and it's a little tiny spring that goes up underneath there, because this sits on top of this spring here. And I noticed not all these pumps have this. Most of them I've seen online don't have that, but mine happens to have that. So I hope that helps y'all. If yours doesn't have it, don't worry about it. Ain't a big deal. I'm still kind of looking into that, why some of them have it, some of them don't. But mine happen to have it. The other thing we ran into was checking the in-play. That was a little bit of a challenge, but it wasn't too bad. No, I ended up getting all that. It's easier to check it, because now, since I got it on the stand here, it's a lot easier to check it with it turned on its side like this. And once you get everything, this is a little tip here. If you got like an engine stand like I got, I hate these 3-legged ones. I really don't like them. But it'll be alright for this, because this ain't too awful heavy. But I wouldn't put no motor on them. I don't like these 3-legged ones, because they tend to tip over. And I definitely ain't going to put my big block on when I go get to that. That's the big block I was talking about right there. I'm definitely not going to put that on that 3-legged stand, because that's too much weight and be tipped over. That's why I'm going to get the 4-legged one. But I don't want this video to keep dragging here. But that's one little thing there. It makes it a lot easier, because once you got all your internals done, get your pump and everything back in, then it makes it a lot easier to flip it over to get this valve body. And the video that's coming up here is the valve body valves. They're a little bit difficult, because you got to make sure all of them move freely, because if they're sticking, it's not going to shift right. It's not going to get the right pressure. Because you got to think of this as kind of like your arteries, or basically it's kind of like your arteries. All this has to be clear. All these little passages and everything have to be free. Can't have no dirt or nothing in them, because if they don't flow right, or the fluid flows through them, it's kind of like the brain box here, then it won't shift right. So that's a big thing. Got to make sure all that is clear. Same way with the valve body. Got to make sure all that's clear. And most parts on this Turbo 350 here, just about most of them, they all install one way. It's really no way you can get it wrong. Just like this pump, for example, it only goes in one way, because it's got the bolts down here a little bit closer together, and it's no way that you can put it in wrong. So that's one example there. It only goes on one way. Tail shaft only goes on one way. Your clutch packs, that's a good example. They only go one way. And most of the stuff, not everything, but most of the stuff only goes one way. And the last one on here, which I love about this, which makes it really easy to rebuild these, is you don't have to worry about the band or nothing, because all that is self-adjusting. So you don't have no screw on the side of the case or nothing. This one doesn't have it. Now, a Turbo 250 has it. It's right on this side here, but this is a 350 here. This one doesn't have it self-adjusting. That makes it really, really nice. So once you install your servo right here, and you don't have to worry about it. It adjusts itself, because it's a little band right here. And once you install the valve body and the servo there, it adjusts itself. So that makes it really nice. But I just want to wrap this video up here. I don't want to keep going on and on. I can go on about it forever, but this is just a little thing, stuff I wrote down here. If anybody's interested in rebuilding one, this is some of the stuff I've run into. It's not too bad. But anyway, I think we're going to end this video here, because on the next one I want to get this valve body in here, because we're just about done with this. It ain't much left. But I hope everybody's enjoying the videos on this, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and feel free to leave a comment below. I'll try and answer them usually try and answer them as soon as I get a notification where I got one. Thanks for watching, and look forward to make more videos.